So I was limited by that, and then, as you mentioned, the Pensacola Community Action Network came along and offered the fiscal sponsorship. That was perfect for our bike group, for Bike Pensacola, because now we had, working under them, we had the nonprofit status, the third-party accounting. When I, go to a business looking for money, they could write that check to Pensacola Community Action Network. They'd get their tax deduction if they wanted that, and they had, again, the guarantee that the money was being used properly the way it wasn't being written, wasn't being written to be. So, that helped tremendously with that. And I just can't recommend enough, especially if it's a new project being started or something that you only do maybe once a year as an event, going that fiscal sponsorship route rather than trying to set up your own nonprofit, which is so much more involved. There's a time and a place for that, but maybe not in the beginning and maybe not for smaller events. So.
Yeah, great insights. I remember the days of written to Christian Wagley. It's like, that's not scalable. Anyway, interesting takes, and appreciate that. So Mona, as a business owner, I've seen your company do great work with nonprofits as well as giving away your services. But more than that, you've transformed yourself into this certified B Corp. Can you talk about your journey from supporting these nonprofits to the decision to make your business a literal force for good in the world?
Yeah, and it's been a journey for sure. Probably about maybe 20 years ago, I had the good fortune of doing some work with a company out of Atlanta by the name of Interface, and worked directly with a man by the name of Ray Anderson, who was the founder of Interface. And Interface is the people who produce those carpet squares that you probably have seen. And Ray made a decision late, it probably was in his early 60s, to really transform his company from what he would consider a take, make, waste company, really not concerned at all about the environment or environmental impact, to a company who was determined to have zero impact on the world by 2020, a goal, by the way, that they did reach. And through that research and that work, I thought, but what is a little branding firm in Pensacola, Florida, what difference can we make? And so through a lot of conversations with a lot of people that I became connected with, this whole idea of we're doing good things, but can we influence other people? Can we leverage our impact to other people? And so we became engaged and involved with the conscious capitalism movement and with the B Corp. And B Corp is basically anybody, any of you could choose to be a B Corp. It's a legal entity in the state of Florida that basically says we are here, yes, we are for profit, but we're also going to stand up and step up in the area of social and environmental responsibility. So our framework and our responsibility is yes to the bottom line, but beyond the bottom line to environmental and social responsibility. So that was good, we saw that, but how can we, there's a lot of people who talk like that, but how can we really prove to ourselves and how we hold ourselves accountable? So we were in contact with something called the B Lab, and the B Lab is the international entity for certification of companies like ours. And it took us, I can't even remember now, it was a lot harder than we thought it was going to be. A lot of paperwork and a lot of proving and a lot of things. But anyway, long and short, we became a certified B Corp and remain one today. That does not mean we are perfect, okay? It just means we're on a journey. And I'm not sure perfection will ever be reached. But we measure ourselves in our give back. We do something called a Brand on Us every year, where we select one small not-for-profit and we take them through our whole branding process. You may have seen, we just did Gulf Coast Kids House. This past year was the I Know Child Abuse campaign that we did. We did work for the Humane Society. We've done work for so Bright Bridge Ministries, for Chain Reaction. So one of the things we do socially is we believe that we can leverage our impact by helping people who are impacting our community. And we believe brands change the world. Brands can change the world. So we work with that concept way. So Jim, I think it's a continuing journey. I think that our intention here is to not only talk the talk, but to walk the talk and hold ourselves accountable. And that's what B Corp does for us. It holds us accountable for. And our work we do are a member of Impact 100. And of course, they were our model actually for our Brand on Us project, is how y'all do things. And we've done that now for almost 9 years, I guess. So it's been, it's a way of doing business. It's not an initiative. It's who we are. And I think that's one of the most important things that we've done over the years.
Thanks for sharing that. I think, listening to the three of y'all talking about this, you start to feel the spectrum, right? Like, where as a business owner am I going to be? Am I going to be a company that takes in but doesn't give out? And I don't think anyone in this room would ever be in that mindset, all the way to this idea of like, not only do we do work for nonprofits, but we are also holding ourselves accountable to this higher level of standards. So thank you all for that. So excellent examples. And with those in mind, let's talk about the reason business owners might engage with creating these positive impacts. So this could be an open discussion, but Bridget, we can start with you. So why do you think businesses should get involved with nonprofits? What's the benefit to them?
What I would say, Jim, is that it's important because nonprofits really do contribute to the viability and the vibrancy of the community. I go back to Impact 100, where we have 5 focus areas in which we award grants. And those are arts, culture, and history, education, environment, recreation, preservation, family, and health and wellness. And our founder, Debbie Ritchie, has said it's important that all areas are funded equitably. And it's easy to say, especially in a time like the pandemic, oh my gosh, we need to fund families because, we've got a need for food in our community. But you know what? We have a need to feed the soul. We have a need to feed all those areas. So nonprofits oftentimes don't have the funds or the resources to carry out the very important work that they do. So they count on businesses to partner with them to make that happen. And I like to think that businesses benefit too, because when I know when our women see that you have a business that's supporting you, that's a part of what you're doing, that's contributing to nonprofit work in the community, we seek out those businesses to support. So I think it's a win-win for both nonprofits and the businesses that partner with them.
I have to agree with that. Christian, Bike Pensacola's had incredible support from the community over the past few years. What do you think the businesses get out of that relationship?
I guess obviously the most immediate, visible thing is that we can bring 300 to 400 people to the front door of a business. And I would challenge you to try to figure out a way to do that on your own. I mean, that's pretty powerful. We can guarantee it. Now, you have to try to capture them and hold on to them while they're there. When we work with you on that to find fun, reasons for people to stay around and interact with your business and get to know you. But I think that is pretty powerful. Obviously, we're local. We're right here in the community, and it's not just a fun bike ride once a month. It's the day-to-day work we're doing to try to change the built environment. We have a community, where we've designed everything for cars over the last 70 years, and now 70 years of doing that, we know what that has done. It has made us it's made us sick because we don't move our bodies, right? So less healthy in that sense. The stress of having to be in, traffic congestion and such, the environmental damage that comes from that. So great interest today in going back to more walkable, bikeable community. So we are advocating for that, trying to get lanes reduced and slowing down the traffic. It's the number one complaint that comes into the Pensacola Police Department. The number one complaint is cars speeding through neighborhoods. And so trying to get traffic calming and create that more livable community that's not just environmental, it's really about quality of life and health and so much as well. So, what better cause could there be than that, I think. So.
Are you trying to imply that by having a more vibrant community, it's better for the businesses that live here?
Yeah, that's been, obviously, hasn't that been a great, transformation in the business world? We used to move because there was a job in the factory here, right? Now we move quality of the place, right? We make decisions based on the quality of the schools, and are there parks nearby? Is it walkable? These kinds of things. It's been a tremendous transformation.
Yeah. Mona, building on that, we hear about the triple bottom line. I believe the B Corp has a few more than triple, but is there an economic benefit to companies and business owners that participate in this social good?
Yeah, so being a child of the 60s, I sometimes get accused of being still the hippie, right? But I was never the hippie. But I do believe this, and I have my research area is in branding and culture change, etc. And here's what I can tell you, and I think you already know this. People choose to work for and buy for businesses who represent the things they believe in. And that is becoming increasingly true. And what we see from the employment area, those of you in the employment business know this, that young people are looking for companies that stand for more than what they sell. They're looking for companies who speak to their purpose, their values, their sense of who they are. We spend a lot of time of our lives every day engaged in the work we do. For us at ID Group and for what we believe in, connecting your work to your life and to your own values and your purpose is not optional. It's the way we move people forward, it's the way we build people, it's the way we build communities, and it's the way we make the world better because we were here. So I think when we talk about the triple bottom line, or we talk about conscious capitalism, which basically is this, because sometimes people like me get accused of not being in strength or in support of capitalism. Quite the contrary. I believe capitalism is one of the best systems in the world, but I believe we must look at it through a consciousness of it. Doing the right thing, doing the smart thing, treating people right, making money, but also making a difference. And those are not mutually, what's what I'm looking for, mutually, they're not two different things, they're not exclusive. It is the way you put those things together that creates the real power. And I think it's today, in today's world, with what customers are looking for, what employees are looking for, this is the way forward for success. And we can't afford, as business people, to separate out what we do from who we are. And we have to fully acknowledge that we are leaders, and what we do will make a difference in our lives, in our communities' lives, and most importantly, in our future, our children and grandchildren. So I have a 5-year-old grandson, and I want to be able to look at him. I look at him every day and go, what is the world going to be like that we leave you? And I think my responsibility is to do the best I can to leave him a world that I hope he will be able to thrive in. So I think it's the right thing. I think it's the smart thing from a business perspective. And if you want me to, I can lay out a business case for you for why this is what I believe is the future of now and the future of the future.
Almost the future of the present. I mean, 10 years ago, people were talking about this. Today, they're doing it, and if they're not, they're in danger of not being relevant in another couple of years. So, but anyway, really interesting. Thanks for sharing that. So we talked a bit about the why you would get involved in the community. We talked about some of the benefits that you as a business owner and your business may gain. So let's get down to the brass tacks. How do we do this? And so Bridget, let's start with you. If a business owner wants to support a nonprofit in their community, what advice would you offer them in choosing an organization and ensuring that their time and donations are put to the use that would most align with the business?
I would say to look at the mission of the nonprofits that you're considering engaging with and define what your expectations are in that relationship. I mean, you are committing your time, your resources, whether that's time or financial. So what are your expectations? And what are the expectations of the nonprofit? Again, I think it should be, it should be mutually beneficial. And I think that what is your mission? What is the nonprofit's mission? Do they align? Is that something when people think about your organization that they think about that nonprofit that you support? Is that association that you want to make? And I do believe the more that you can get involved, sometimes that we're kind of coming out of the COVID precautions somewhat, but if you can be there, boots on the ground, participate in the things that they're doing, I think when they develop that relationship with you and your business, that they're more likely to support what you do.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's right on. And so, Christian, if a business owner wants to create their own nonprofit, perhaps a foundation or a charitable arm of their organization, what advice would you offer in starting that process?
Yeah, starting your nonprofit's a big thing. I think I would make sure that and see if there's some other nonprofit that already exists in the community that's doing what you want to do before you try to start your own. that can mean working with like a group that I mentioned before that supported 350 Pensacola and Bike Pensacola Community Action Network with the fiscal sponsorship model where, for a percentage of what you bring in, they kind of provide the nonprofit status, the accounting and administrative and such. And that's something that a business can support an organization like that, and through Pensacola can help get to the right organizations in the community, because they have a whole bunch of organizations who do different things, environmental, social issues working under them, and they've blessed them in the sense that these are groups that are spending their money properly, they're doing the right thing. We can assure you of that. I guess another thing that comes to mind, if you truly want to go that route, Innisfree Hotels here locally is one that I can think of that has done that. They set up a corporate social responsibility project, nonprofit firm called The Hive that does the From the Ground Up Community Garden and does some other things as well. They're a fairly big company. I think they've got a dozen hotels or something like that, and they were able to do that. So that's certainly one route to go. An interesting exercise to do is go to the IRS webpage and you can look up all the nonprofits in your community, and there's something like that are current, like right now registered on the book. I want to say there's close to 500 here, maybe 400 something.
Try 1,200.
No, is it that many?
That's what we have in our database. For Impact 100, we have 1,200.
Yeah, so it's very possible that there's some group already doing, what you want to do. You don't need to start your own thing. So, can I say something about this real quick? I just, I'm certainly somebody that I'm a big reader, and I also love to pass things on and don't need to clutter up my house too much. But this is a book that's been very influential for me called Let My People Go Surfing: The Education of a Reluctant Businessman. This is the founder and owner of Patagonia, which is a very well-known outdoor apparel company that's been a real pioneer in how to treat the planet right, how to treat their employees right, and I'll pass this on to anybody who wants it. The big lesson of the book, he basically talks about every point in his career where he faced a choice with his business, whether to do the thing that seemed to be the thing that would bring them the most immediate short-term profits, or the thing that seemed to be right for people on the planet. He always chose doing the right thing for people on the planet, and in the end, he actually made more money by doing that. So I might have a taker there, maybe. Yeah, okay. You're welcome to have it. So thank you.
All right.
It's a great book. Very good.
Enjoy the read. It'll be interesting. All right, and so Mona, if a company or a business owner wants to start their journey toward becoming a certified B Corp, where do they start, and what kind of challenges should they expect along the way?
Yeah, so the first thing is to go to the B Lab website and look at the qualifications required. There are different categories that you need to be able to prove what you are doing. And again, it's a point system. And most people don't get to the 100 points, So I think first understanding what does it mean to be a B Corp, I think is really, really important. Once again, to be a certified B Corp, you could be a B Corp by filing, and then when you do your annual report each year, reporting on what you're doing socially, environmentally, to support your position as a B Corp. But to be a certified B Corp basically is the validation process. But that's important to understand that. But I think the most important thing to do is look inside. Do you really believe this? What are your values relating to this? Do you believe it is your responsibility as a business and a business owner to find this integration? I've gotten away from the word balance now to much more of an integration of can we make money? And I want to talk about Yvon Chouinard just a moment, because he is the example. He and Ray Anderson were really good friends. And that is the perfect example. Your mom and dad probably told you, just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. And that's really the simplicity. And here's the good news that I want to be clear on. The companies we work with every day here in Pensacola are doing the right thing. That's one of the things we're looking for. We look for companies to work for that have a value set that align with this sense. And you know what, guys? There's a lot of them. They're not out saying they're socially responsible or environmentally responsible, but they are. We have many more B Corps in this community than on E-Group, I can promise you. They're just not saying it. I think it's important for us to say it. I think it's important for us to make the stand. Because when we create a community of like-minded people, that's when, and Christian knows this, I was at that first bike ride. When down here, remember that 30 people showed up, and it was like, and now he's got what? Because he stepped out, stepped up, and made a stand. And I think, as I said, it's like everybody's kind of operating behind the scenes here. And my challenge to everyone is to say, if you really are looking at your responsibility as a business, take a look at B Corp. It is a process, but it's worth it, and I do think it's important. So and Conscious Capitalism is another website to go to look at that. But again, I look around in Pensacola, and there's a lot more of me than just ID groups, so that's what I would say.
It's true, part of what made me fall in love with this community going on 8 years ago when we moved here is I think we did a talk about social entrepreneurship, and I was expecting 3 or 4 people to show up, and we had a full room, and everyone in that room was just absolutely dedicated to making their community better, just everyone used different language. So part of that is bringing all of these different concepts into the same terminology so that we know who these people are.
And Jim, I can say something just really quickly, because when people think about social entrepreneurship, they think about not-for-profit. Unfortunately, even in the academic realm today, people still think social entrepreneurship means not-for-profit. It does not. We have a lot of social issues in our society that can be solved through a capitalist perspective. And so it's really important to understand, you talk about business opportunities, social entrepreneurship is probably one of the greatest business opportunities that exists today. So I want to make that clear too, Jim, because there is obviously the not-for-profit, which has a purpose and a reason, etc. But there are some real, what is the purpose of business, right? The purpose of business is to solve a problem or a challenge that they're faced with. And look around you. We have a lot of social ills that I believe business has a great opportunity to jump in and make a difference. So something to just, one of my pet peeves that I had to say something about.
I appreciate you throwing that in there because it's super true and super important. So with the interest of keeping the conference flowing and on time, let's give a huge round of applause to our panelists, Bridget, Kristen, Mona. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to everybody. We'll be back in the back of the booth there for just a few minutes if you want to have questions for them, although I think some of them might be on their way out the door. So thank you again. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you.